Well, we're learning more tonight about a new development coming to Little Bohemia. It brings a mix of residential and commercial space to a historic neighborhood. First Alert 6's Ron Johnson reports how the project will add to the community while at the same time maintain its charm.
It might not be much to look at now, just some dirt and a few boarded up homes. But soon, the northeast corner of 14th and William Street will look a lot different. Developers are working on a mixed-use project bringing 154 apartment units and 9,000 square feet of commercial space to Little Bohemia, an area rich with unique architecture that preservationists want to maintain.
Our belief is once it's gone, and so we like to really encourage people to really be thoughtful about those changes long before they're made.
Kim Isherwood is the president of Preserve Omaha. She says the neighborhood's appearance is what makes it stand out.
That bohemian architecture, some very unique character, a lot of artists, there's beautiful shops here. If there are, places where a building's going to go up, hopefully it can provide some sort of nod to the history of the area or incorporate some historical details.
Architects of the project say their plans will include preservation. These boarded up homes won't be torn down, but will be part of the new development. Those who work nearby say the project will add to an already bustling neighborhood.
We still have lots of good business in this area, but with more people moving down here, I think there'll be even more support for the local businesses. And just to see it still maintained and honestly grow has been really nice.
And preservationists are embracing the growth.
We know that development is going to happen and that growth in cities, change over time. And so if we can do that in a way that maintains this beautiful personality of this neighborhood, we support that.
In Little Bohemia, Ron Johnson, First Alert 6.